Hey everyone. That favorite scripture, John 3, John 3 verse 16, I think it is. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I got a revelation about this favorite scripture a couple days ago. That word believeth. We have the word believe and that word believeth. And for us to have everlasting life, our belief have to be centered around that God, the universe, gave his only begotten Son. Many of us grew up in the church and we always attribute this only begotten Son to Jesus. But he's talking about us. The scripture is talking about us. Our beliefs have to be centered around that we are offspring of the true and living God. We are the sons and daughters of the Most High God. That's who we are. And that has to be centered, our belief have to be centered around that. That's what the scripture is saying. So, when our belief is centered around that we take our nature from the divine universe, from the whatever you want to call your God, universe, divine consciousness, universal consciousness, what are we looking outside of ourselves for? We have to change our beliefs that no one is coming to save us and nothing outside of us can help us. So when we go through our day-to-day lives, our belief have to be centered around that we are the offspring of God. The Christ letter said he fractionalized himself and create us. It's still one. Is experiencing everything we're experiencing in this physical reality. The Bible tells us in so many ways, nothing can separate us from the love of God. You have to understand God to understand who we are. So what the scripture is telling us, let our beliefs centered around that we get our divinity from our Father, the universe. We have the ability to create anything in our lives that we want. And all it takes is that when we go through our day-to-day lives, let our thoughts be centered around that we're a divine being. Not what we see in the mirror, not the names that we were called when we came into this earth. Oh, a divine being. We have to let our mind go higher than what we see with the physical eyes. There's a scripture that says we have eyes but we do not see. We have ears but we do not hear. So for you to believe that you take your divine nature from your divine Father, and everything you need is already granted unto us. Creation is finished. And he sent us here to experience his creation. So we have to take our eyes out the physical realm and walk in the spirit. Paul told us, you have to walk in the spirit to experience these supernatural things. You have to go beyond the physical eyes. Because we attribute ourselves to in this physical realm, that's not who we truly are. That's not who we truly are. So we are not the people we see in the mirror, the teachers, the lawyers, the doctors, the strugglers, the widow. We are not we are not that single person. We're not that sick person. We're not that broke person. This is just the character we're playing here. It's just the character we're playing here. And we're experiencing all these lack and all these division and all these hate and everything because we're not walking in our true nature. Where our belief system is centered around someone outside of us is coming to help us. Not that we have the true power within to heal, to live the abundant life. The abundant life that we can't, that we're supposed to be living. I am. We are that I am. I am abundance. I am healed. We get our divinity from our Father. That's what Christ came to tell us. That's Christ's teaching. So when you hear this famous scripture, look nowhere else out yourself. This scripture tells us everything. Look nowhere else but within. Don't look outside of yourself for anything. For us to experience life everlasting is to let our belief centered that we're still connected to our Father, that our Father put his essence inside of us and create us. We have the same creative power. That's what the scripture is saying. We are that only begotten Son. Not what we're physical, not what we're seeing in the physical. Yes, it's connected, but there is a spiritual aspect of us that never dies. Just like our Father doesn't die, we do not die. So associate yourself with this divine being. Associate who you are with John 3 verse 16. Take a look and understand who our Creator is, how much we're loved, how much we're blessed. When he says only begotten Son, that just means you're chosen. You were chosen to come here to have a divine being. And just like how Christ was God and man, that's how we are. Walking in this flesh. So, when you hear that scripture, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe, when you make that be your belief, that you came here, God sent you here for a divine experience. Now you have to figure out why. Why weren't you sent here? Not to be a mother, not to have the bachelor's, not to be poor, not to be whatever associate ourselves with in this world that Christ. That's what Paul says. Listen, those who are of the world, you can't be of the world and be of the Spirit. Those who are in the flesh cannot please God. We have to be spiritual beings. That's who we naturally are. That's who we are. So as you go through the day, let your mind act like you're God. You are not lacking. That's what they try to tell us in manifestation. But what they forgot to tell us is that in order for us to manifest what we have to have our belief have to be centered around who we truly are. And that's what the scripture is telling us. And who we truly are divine beings having a physical experience in this world. And having a fleshly experience, but we're still gods. The scripture says, ye are gods. Ye are gods. So be blessed, everyone. Please. Only begotten Son. You are that only begotten Son. And you have to believe that. Let your belief centered around the God you are.